Buddy, we are here, and we are here for another edition of the TNF In Session, the 11th edition of this program. I've got multiple sounds coming through my mic because that's what we're doing here today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. Hey, what a weird time to be broadcasting. We're here. TNF In Session, for those not familiar, is a show which is made up by my Patreon audience. It is a audio recording first and foremost, but I love doing it here live for a private audience. I'll be your private dancer, everybody, here on YouTube via my Patreon page, all those kind of things. What does that mean? That means usually my TNF boardroom members, which is tier 6 and higher supporters, and my tier 5 and 4 supporters. There's a lot of tiers on Patreon these days, right? We all get to slide into this, but today, because of just what's going on, I just felt everyone on my Patreon page can pop on in if they want. I take pre-selected questions and then go into some live questions. We sometimes do phone calls. Not going to do it today. I am shooting in my podcast studio, so if you're watching here on YouTube, yeah, you see a little mess in the corner. You see the camera's a little crooked. It is what it is right now. I had to be working on the house all day. Now, I'm not a guy who works on the house. I'm not a guy or gal with those kind of skills. You got to bring someone in. Luckily, we rent. Nice guy came out. We had to clean the gutters. My gym got flooded with the recent rain because of a clogged drain. So, not that there's not more important things to worry about, but you gotta take care of that gym, right? In this time, I'm so thankful that I have a home gym. Not, every once in a while I get made fun of for having a gym in my garage or in my old studio, my old apartment. I had a 2-bedroom apartment and I had a gym in the second room, and I get made fun of. Well, guess what? Now we're all in lockdown and I can still work out. In fact, I'm in my workout gear now. I'll probably do that after the show. So it is without a doubt a weird time. It's a weird, scary time, confusing time, panicking time, all those kind of things. And it has progressed, and I just always want to address it. I don't want to ignore what's going on, but I also don't want to dwell on it, and I'm not someone who panics over it. Every once in a while, it pops up, and it's not, the coronavirus disease, disease, virus, whatever you want to say, COVID-19, or the thing virus, as Mark Ellis and I have been, and Josh McCouga have been calling it in our text threads. I am someone who will most likely survive that if I were to get that and come out on the other end, but other people aren't, so you want to be concerned about that. That stuff, though, is on its side. What I find myself more panicked over is the reactions of everyone else around me. I have 3 gun shops in my neighborhood, and I'm okay with guns. I'm all for sensible gun control, but I am not a gun owner myself, but I know a lot of friends are. Was around it in my old job a lot. We're not going to go down that path of discussion, but I'm okay with it. But what I'm freaked out about is every one of the gun stores in my neighborhood. The line is around the block every morning. Every morning, it's around the block, and that's not my favorite thing. I don't know. It's that uneasy feeling. I was slightly panicked. As it's starting to happen, common sense and reality is like, look, even if we're locked down for a little bit, or these stores are facing a surge of need, I understand that. But you go in, you walk into a Target or Walmart or wherever in the shop shelves are empty, it's a little disconcerting. And having traveled, some pre-planned travel, coming back and settling back in here to the Burbank area, and I went out to a local Target, which is a smaller Target. It's like a mini Target Express or something they call it, but it's our regular spot. And we go there, and when I walked in, it wasn't just that things were gone. It's just everyone, the way we're acting, you start picking up on the energy, and that's when some of the panic starts getting into what's going on. So, that's something to be. You just got to step back and you got to calm down. So. We are here. I'm here with all of you, and we got some people checking in here. We got Jason Humphreys is in the background asking this question. Yeah, that is. I talked about this on Twitch last night. By the way, I started my Lego builds on Twitch. Follow me on Twitch, and we're building some Lego sets, some Star Wars Lego sets. Zori's in the corner here, the little mini one. This is right over here is a poster for those watching on YouTube. That is a poster of episode 4, New Hope, signed by Alan Ladd Jr., a little gift given to me from the great Stephen Stanton. around the world there. So I'm going to turn the sound down. You might hear some beeps and bumps coming in here. Almost Famous is there too. Tommy Terry Green. It was given to me by an old friend named Alex. This is the Rise of Skywalker Dolby poster there. And then that Last Jedi one I got as being part of the world premiere event. So that was it. So Alice is here. Alice is just saying thank you, but I think she's saying thank you to something in chat. Yeah, every once in a while my internet, I think we're a little bit better this time around. I have three networks in the house, and sometimes what happens is when I stream, different things happen with the internet. And woo, sometimes if you're watching me live on YouTube, I am a little blurry. That's okay. Recording this as an audio podcast released on the Napzok Files podcast feed. Appreciate all the support from everyone during these times, but take care of you using yours first. I always think that this Patreon business model is very important to the survival of many people, and has been as even without what's going on, the industry starts to really kind of change. Things will not really be the same for a lot of people in the industry after this. So it's important to have support, but also it's important for you out there, my followers, my supporters, to take care of using yours first before supporting average, mildly talented podcasters like myself. The group is growing here. Lauren Romo's live in studio. We got Graham Butler. I love Graham. He's got a great kilt, and I've seen it in person. Ooh, giggity. Good day, as they say down south. Zach Anderson is here. That's these comments move on the page here. Zach Anderson is here. Says, hey, Ken. Zach out there doing stand-up in Milwaukee. Maybe he'll try out for the Brewers now that no one's playing. Get on that field, Zach, and just see. Tamor is here saying hello to some of the other people in the group. We always talk about, if you're watching live or on YouTube or a little bit later on YouTube, Tamor's profile picture on YouTube is perhaps the most money picture that's going on. We got Old Handsaw, also known as I Got a Name, also known as Sean. Roxy is having some streaming issues earlier. Must be street. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Here, what might be the problem is we're testing our grid here. We're testing our grid everywhere. In fact, my hometown just kind of went on the same kind of partial kind of, not lockdown, but clamp down is, I think, the correct way to say it. San Luis Obispo County shutting businesses without, unless you need to, food, all those kind of basics. Come and get it. You can't go in restaurants. And so I think everyone's home. Everyone's home. Grace and I were trying to watch Rise of Skywalker the other day on Amazon Prime. So great that was released early, right? Love that film, but it was really tough because it kept freezing every 11 to 12 minutes. I think in large part because everyone was watching at the same time. We're all home. Hey, we got Sir Thomas the Tall in here. Thomas Risling, a contributor to Casterly Talk. Thomas, we got to get you back on real soon. People need to hear Game of Thrones in these times. And he's saying Zach can be the Vince of baseball. There you go. Janko's got a mango is here. The fam is all checking in here. Before we really dive into the pre-selected questions, I want to during this time, I'm not an expert on any of this. But I've been in a lot of weird situations. I've been in a lot of command centers, a lot of active command centers, and I just think some of the things I've experienced can not be helpful, but at least maybe have some relevance to what's going on maybe in your life. So I'm calling this segment From the Command Center. I need to get some logos, maybe some graphics. I don't know. We'll work on that. Here's one of the things. So when I say I've been in active command centers, that could be a lot of different things. I've been in active training command centers and live trainings. I was part of the security team that planned and executed a multi-agency training operation in 2003 called Operation Dark Cloud, which is the post 9/11 era, and we trained LAFD, LAPD, LA County Sheriffs, LA School Police, CSUN School Police, our security teams, a lot of private ambulance companies. We all worked together. It wasn't just the mall team, but our company, Andrews International at the time, hosted this Operation Dark Cloud event. And so I got to see that in action. And I've been in a lot of bomb threats. I've been in a lot of situations where I have been in command centers with city officials, government officials. And I love just translating some of that to these situations. Maybe you can do it to yourself at home. Or maybe I'm just a self-important, pompous jerk, and none of this matters, and eat all your cookies first. I don't understand. I mean, I'm having a tough time. First of all, let's talk about that. Grace and I we forage for food. It's what we keep calling it. We're going out when we can. Best times to get food and supplies. And then we come back. We're all excited. We're all relieved. And I'm sure all of you doing this too. We got 2 boxes of Cheez-Its, and then all of the Cheez-Its are gone a day into the quarantine. Yeah, what are you going to do? Here's one thing. Here's one of the things, and this has been the key for me to even remember now. Information changes. That includes facts. Things that are facts literally change. The facts change in these situations, and also just information. And there's always a struggle to get the right information. But sometimes what you know at the start of something changes. New things come to light, and you have to allow yourself to adapt to that. You can only prepare for it so far, but I think I'm seeing a lot of that too, as the situation is fueled by some false information or partial information, or I always talk about careful of the words, could possibly, estimated, could be, just all those things. None of those things are wrong in theory, but they're not there yet, and there's things we can do before that. And that's key too. But also, I've seen a lot of friends of mine fall victim right now to, 3 weeks ago it was this situation. We're at this situation, and now the situation has changed, and they're still playing off of the situation if it's 3 weeks ago. I think my approach to what's going on has changed 3 weeks ago. And again, I'm not someone who feels as though I'm at risk to be seriously affected by this. If I get this, I don't want to get this. I'll be out. I don't want to get the flu either. I don't want to get anything. I want to have a healthy day. You do too. But I don't want to, I'm now more clear, more affected by the idea that I don't want to give it to someone else. And I went to Disneyland last week. If it was open this week, I wouldn't go. We had a pre-planned trip. We kind of had to go. Obviously, we didn't have to go, but it was one of those, the situation. I did a lot of research. I felt confident going. I actually felt pretty safe there, and that didn't change. I felt pretty safe there. I got coughed on at Target the other day. That was fun. No, not intentionally, but I turned the corner, and I kind of ran into a guy as he was coughing right in my face. I'm a zombie now. I think that's what it is. I'm a zombie now. But I felt safer at Disneyland, and I felt safer in Vegas 2 weeks ago because we were all doing what we needed to do. And you got to trust a lot of other people to do what they need to do, and that's not always the case. But going back to the main point here, facts, even facts, things that are facts can change. Information can change. You have to allow yourself to change along with it. And I think that's what I am doing myself right now. We got William Belford in the chat room. He is President Belford, and he says it's the difference between facts and data. Yeah, that's absolutely true. The data can change. That's a good way to look at it, President Belford. We call him President Belford. That's what the Wangers call him. And then I actually played President Belford in the Stage 4 short, which, by the way, the Wangers, Brian, Christian Ruvalcaba, and Cody Hall, support them very much so. But they made that Stage 4, which is kind of a virus, pandemic, zombie, monster kind of thing going on. And I was like, you guys, what did you do this for marketing? What did you predicted this? And then they have a pilot that's never been seen yet, where we've kind of been working on it, kicking it around for the last year. So it's a series. I don't want to spoil it, but it is oddly prescient. It's oddly a real prediction of what we're kind of actually going through right now. It's a pilot. I wrote them today. I was like, what do you got? Do you guys know something? So that's that. Going to just some stuff from the audience. Hillbilly Scribs. Hey, Hillbilly says, during social distancing and practicing isolationism, it is so important to be social and connect with others. Your Discord, so important right now. Also thankful to have that. Thanks, Hillbilly, for those listening. Through my Patreon page, I have a Discord server open to everyone on my Patreon page, and we have a little section right now called, what are we calling it now? It is a special chat channel called, I came up with a good name and now I can't remember. The Social Distance Network. That's what we got it going on over there, and we just, let's entertain each other. Come together, get through this as best we can. Yeah, Discord did go down the other day and it was worse. Andres Ortiz, Andy Ortiz, as we also know him, saying, how do people work from home? Trying to make adjustment for this weekend next. All right, you know what? That's a good thing. Mr. Ortiz. We'll talk about that. I got one more thing, a couple more things from the bunker, but let's talk about that. Grace and I have been joking, and Joseph Scrimshaw, and a lot of people I know who are full-time freelancers and make their living as best they can off of freelance. It is a challenge, but we've been joking that welcome to our world. We've been doing this, and a lot of us have been doing this not just in the entertainment industry, but other people. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. So Grace and I kind of feel like, other than the fact that we don't really want to leave the house, nothing's entirely different for us. So what it is, Andy, is the key to this is discipline. The key is allowing yourself to have that schedule. To maybe a couple days might be hey, I get to sleep in and wear my sweatpants all day. I'm not saying put on a 3-piece suit at home, but you have to get up and form some kind of schedule. And I day part out my day, like a radio station day parts styles of music they play. A rock station will say these two songs fit into 2 or 3 day parts, but the heavier stuff is a different day part. That's what I do with my work. I have more admin work, more writing work later in the night, more admin work in the morning, more catch up work, more personal finances, all that kind of work in the morning. Midday, I make sure to have a lunch, a snack, a break. That might do by some personal gaming. Streams, stuff like this is in the afternoon, a little bit more awake. These were the kind of radio shifts I love. I had the morning show for a long time, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You get into work at 5 a.m. Even though my morning show's the primetime shift, I hated that. I hated that. I wanted an afternoon shift, and that's why you see me stream a lot. It's also good for different time zones. And then allow myself dinner, working out, gym, everything, and I just look an hour ahead. That's something that's a lot of you sometimes talk about. How do you deal with depression or anxiety or those situations? I always go to an hour ahead. Just what is your next hour? What does your next hour look like? What do you need to challenge? What are the challenges? What do you need to get past? What can you defeat? And what can you accomplish in the next hour? We'll worry about the second hour after you get through this hour. And I think that's what working at home is like that too. A lot of people, Tommy Terry Green's backing that up. Habits, get ready, go on an office workspace. It's not your bed. Don't be in PJs. Treat your workspace as separate from your living space. That is true too, Tommy. John Mariano, we love Johnny M. He says, I've been working from home since 2015-ish. Boundaries are very important. Absolutely there. We got some new names checking in here. Rob Mack is in here. So he's feeling good. There, have a nice discussion in there. Tamor is doing a good job welcoming everyone into the chat. Love seeing new names from the Patreon page opening up on in here and join us. Some final things from the command center. And I don't think anyone listening to my podcast sticks around if they're not in line with me on some things or some approach to life. That's not beyond, I'm not talking voting records, beliefs or anything like that, but I think a general way of approaching life. I attract a certain kind of person and repel other kind of people. I think you all agree with this. Safety protocols are in place and the reasons might not be apparent to you. And this is something I directly learned from my dealing with a lot of access control, property control during important situations, disseminating information as needed. And I think there are some things going on right now. I have no proof. I'm not on these phone calls. But I think that Django Scott says, I disagree on literally everything Ken has ever said. That's true. But I like mangoes, so we're going to be okay. What I'm saying here is I think some things are going on that are in place for a reason. I think everyone in general, with a common sense approach, can go, yeah, this is going to hurt me. Like I've already lost, I think, 2 or 3 jobs, regular jobs right now, freelance writing, hosting, announcing kind of things. I'm down this month. A lot of people are down in a lot of different businesses. My friend works security. He is a little older. He's at risk. He's just had a medical procedure. Lost his job. Lost his post, lost his job. Can't go in. Company says, tough. We'll remove you. File for unemployment, kid. And he ain't a kid, so it's tough. So I think there's a lot of that stuff going around. But despite all the hardships, despite all of it, I think you have to realize there's things in place or being put in place because of information we don't have access to, information we probably don't even want to have access to. I'll tell this story. I always love telling these little weird security stories. I was early on, this was like 2 months into my job. I was a 22-year-old kid working around, patrolling the mall and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't in leadership yet. We had a bomb threat. And it was not our bomb threat. It was J.C. Penney's loading dock, right, where the big rig trucks come in, and someone from their team found something, couldn't identify it, couldn't place it, didn't know when it got there, didn't understand. That's how you kind of run through bomb threats. And again, with bomb threats on major retail properties, you don't go, hey, police, we got something, and the police come running over. You yourself have to go confirm it because you're going to know your property better. You're going to know your facility better. The police might show up and be like, what's that? Does that belong? Yeah, that's a call box. Oh, that's an electrical box. Yeah, okay. They don't know. You're going to clear it first. And sadly, when this is just when it comes to bomb threats, they're most likely, if it is one, it's going to be one, and you're going to find out after the fact. You're very rarely going to find it before. So we go out to help, we go out to assist, and we have to clear out half the property. Police tape is up, not caution tape. Police tape is up. And I'm sitting there with two patrol officers from LAPD's Devonshire division. We're sitting there, and the bomb squad comes out, which is a long process. I talked about it a little bit on the show Saturday Night Napzok this past week. This is a different one, almost 17 years apart, actually, from the two incidents I've been talking about. The robot comes out. The Johnny 5 is alive bomb threat robot comes out, and that's fun to watch. I have no doubt about that. They come out, they roll out of the truck. You see him, it goes up to the package. While this is happening, we have parts of the property blocked off, but not all of the property is blocked off because, again, we don't want to create a scene when there doesn't need to be a scene. We don't want to create panic where there doesn't need to be panic. We want to keep people safe, though, so we'll do what we need to keep people safe and clear, and we were trying to do that. An older couple walks up, and they come over to me, and there was another security officer there, and they come over to me, and they come over to this guy, and they're really upset. They're really, really, really upset. Mind you, literally behind us. If he had just turned to the right, he could have seen the robot, the LAPD bomb squad robot, going to a suspicious package / device. And we were like, sir, you got to go. We'll be open up for normal business shortly, but you can't go here. There's the north side of the property is open. You're welcome to go over there. But JCPenney's currently, along with Sears Robinson's May over here, you can't go into them. He was so upset. He started screaming, jabbing fingers in faces. His reason. And mind you, we're not telling him. We're not going, sir, what you're seeing over there is a potential bomb. We're just saying, sir, for reasons we can't share right now, you're not going to be able to go to JCPenney. We hope to, within the half hour, be back up to normal operations. Jamming fingers in our chests, asking for names and badge numbers, always a great thing. Great. Good luck to you, sir. And his reason, he says, I need socks. He needed socks. And it was at that point that I, all 22, and he was probably 65, and who knows what he did in his life, who knows what was going on with him. But I turned and I said, sir, and you don't want us to do this, and I'm the 22-year-old rookie here. Turned to him, I go, that is the bomb squad. Do you see the bomb squad? Do you see them going in to that loading dock? You can't go in. Now, he didn't go in, but he was very upset, had some very choice words for us, and got back in and said, I'm never coming back, and I'm going to purchase my socks elsewhere. And luckily, I was in the line of business to be like, good, we agreed. Get the hell out of here. Go buy your socks at Kmart somewhere. Not here today. So that's a reminder for what's going on now, too. It is frustrating. You might be losing business, and that opens up some other conversations about what might need to happen to help beyond that. But for what's going on right now, I do believe safety protocols are in place. And this is probably a change even from my point of view 5 days ago. But again, facts, data, all of it is evolving. I believe protocols are in place to protect us in these next 14, 15 days, whatever. Hopefully, this flatten the curve thing you're saying, it is. And if you got someone in your life who's like, hey, it's just a souped up flu, you know what? They're not necessarily wrong. They're not necessarily right. Let them have that opinion, but try to get across to them that the greater good. And hopefully this is a lesson. Joseph Scrimshaw's been talking over on ForceCenter of like this whole situation's a lesson from episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan talking to Boss Nass. You and the Naboo are a symbiotic circle. What happens to one affects the other. Hopefully we can come together over here. So that is part of what's on my mind here. I want these podcasts to be relatively entertaining and a distraction from what's going on, but also I think it's about time to speak open and honest about what's going on. Graham, I love that. This is a conversation going on in chat, but Graham says to trust me, William Belfort. It's not just Americans. We have our fair share of Egypts. Egypts is one of my favorite swear words. Is it a swear word, Graham? I think it counts as a swear. Hey, Real Snacks Attacks is in chat here saying loving the new studio setup. Yeah, I went with this, for those watching on video, for those listening on audio, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you listening to the Napzok Files. You want a good way to support me. Spreading the word on the show is good. If you can't or don't want to support on Patreon or cheer on Twitch or all those kind of things you could do, you can just listen. Even if you don't listen, download and listen to any of my shows on Anchor, because I do have advertising through them, and the more clicks, the more listens, more views, whatever you want to say. It does not have to be through Anchor, just wherever you get the podcast. That helps me more than anything. So Graham says it's just an accented idiot, which I kind of known that, but I was hoping for more. But I actually like that, you Egypt. Thomas checking out here. He says, my wife and I are both being forced to stop working just after moving into our new home. We're doing our best to try to view it as a chance to unpack and spend time in the garden with our dog. I'd like to be in Thomas's yard with his octopus and his dog in his garden. That's bad. All right. So one of the other things we'd like doing here on TNF In Session, the fun part of it is answering some pre-selected questions. That's right. Some pre-selected questions. Bum, bum, bum. These come from my Patreon supporters. We do tier 3 or above. Gets to ask some questions that I get to answer directly here in the show. I've never had to reject one. All right, first one is from our friend Andy Ortiz, who I believe still live in chat, maybe checked out. I don't know. You guys tell me. And this is, I better slide on down. I do this sometimes on the chat here. Real Snacks Attack says, nice singing. I mean, I don't know I'm not a singer. I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. But I do love to belt bad things out every now and then. Andy Ortiz has this question here. He says, Ken is a lifelong fan of the New York Yankees. He's talking to me. I love my Yankees. What is your favorite Yogi Berra quote? Mine is, if this world were perfect, it wouldn't be. That's a great one there. I got to tell you here. I love Yogi Berra. I love reading about Yogi Berra. Number 8. Number 8 is my favorite baseball number because Gary Carter wore that for the Mets and the Expos and Dodgers and Giants. But Yogi Berra, man. One of the great catchers, one of the great personalities, mentored by Bill Dickey, the Yankee catcher before him, who wore number 8. Bill Dickey actually came out of retirement for a season to kind of mentor Yogi. And I love the history of Yankee catchers on the Yankees. So there's a lot of great Yogi Berra quotes to choose from. I think the most famous is, it isn't over till it's over, which is one of those. Yep, that's true. He's like Yoda. Everything's true. From a certain point of view. One of the other ones I love is baseball is 90% mental and the other half is physical. I mean, that's not necessarily wrong, but not necessarily true. Another one was half the lies they tell about me aren't true. I love that one there. And this one reminds me of Roddy Piper a little bit. I wish I had an answer to that question because I'm tired of answering that question. Just as Piper would always say, just when they have answers, I change the questions. I love that one from Piper. But my favorite Yogi Berra quote is, if you come to a fork in the road, take it. And I like that because it's one of those things that it means absolutely nothing, but it means absolutely everything. I think when you're traveling through life, you're going to come to some tough points, some tough decisions, a fork in the road, if you will. And you could interpret that as just take the fork and go eat a nice meal. Or you could just say a fork in the road represents 2 tough choices. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Got to go left, got to go right. You got to go somewhere, and that's the point. So I think when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Make the decision. What's the decision? That's for you to decide. But you've got to decide. You got to move forward, and you got to choose a path. Thank you, Yogi. Thank you, Yogi. I've got some people supporting my singing, which is not great. I don't know if that's great. President Belford says, I'll tell you the same thing. I told Miss Movies, you sound great, but I'm tone deaf. So you know what? And that's what I think. That's what I think I am. Oh, Alice says this. I'm really big on her 55-inch TV. That I'm happy to be that. John Mariano says, you don't think it be like it. Do, but it is. From the great Oscar Gamble, one of the all-time great baseball cards, too. Live questions coming in here. We'll take a quick live question from Tommy Terry Green over in the UK. If you were to adapt one short story from behind the scenes of SNL throughout its history, what story would you choose? Oh, this is great. So I'll tell you what, I wrote a script. I actually finished second place in a screenplay competition in 1999, 2000 range. The screenplay called New York Nights, which was a very, very straightforward adaptation of some of the drama of the first 5 years of SNL. And it was all fictional to avoid any problems. But I just fascinated with that time period. So I boiled it down to the show getting canceled, which was also one of my favorite shows. I love 30 Rock. And when 30 Rock came out, I was like, damn it, Tina Fey's doing what I could not do because she's talented. I'm not. But I also love Sorkin's, was it the Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip? Matthew Perry, Sarah Paulson, Nate Cordry, a lot of D.L. Hughley, I believe, was on the cast too as well. Just absolutely loved that. Just absolutely loved that series. I think it's underrated. One season, it was done. 30 Rock kind of. In fact, I wasn't a fan of 30 Rock the first few episodes, and the show needed to find its stride, but I was like a Studio 60 guy, and I love SNL, love the history of SNL, the backstage history. So if I was to take something real now and put it in there, I think I would do Chevy Chase versus Bill Murray and their fight backstage and the build up to that and their history and their relationship. Chase's ego driving him out of the show, but also just some people telling him, hey, you're already bigger than the show, leave, because he left a month into the second season, I believe. Bill Murray comes in. He's not finding his footing. He's being compared to Chevy. They've got a rivalry. They've got heat. Boils over in a fight. Two feisty guys. And I would love to just boil it down to that, Yeah, a lot of walk and talks on Studio 60. And then the walk and talks on 30 Rock. Tommy's following up because unpopular opinion for Studio 60 to Newsroom and West Wing. I never watched Newsroom or West Wing. I like Studio 60. Sports Night, another example of something pretty good there too. So I don't know. I liked that. I like that stuff. I like Sorkin. I do like Sorkin. I like Social Network. Real Snacks Attack says, saw your post about Cauliflower Alley being postponed. That sucks. I am not going to Las Vegas again at the end of April to be part of the Cauliflower Alley reunion. I don't know if they're even going to move it. We'll see. Canceled my hotel room. That's probably a good thing. Again, we're going to be okay. A lot has changed in the last couple days, weeks even, to kind of change my view on some of the activities that we're all doing out there. Some other pre-selected questions here going back to the Patreon page. Alice, she's in chat right now. She says, and she always says this, and I take, Alice, this means a lot to me. And I guess you're welcome. She says, Ken, you're responsible for my love and addiction for GOT, Game of Thrones. Again, you're welcome. But you're sorry? I don't know. I have read all of Martin's books and watched the series repeatedly. Can you recommend another series and or set of books that you love just as much as GOT? Yeah, this falls into that category, and I'll be honest with Alice. I don't have a great answer for this. If you're looking for something similar to Game of Thrones, I don't have that answer. Wheel of Time. It's 19, 20 books or something to get through Robert Jordan's. I mean, Robert Jordan, rest his soul, didn't even get through the book series. He passed away. That's someone I know a lot of people that love Wheel of Time. I know an adaptation's coming out there. I don't know. Maybe perhaps someone in the ongoing live chat conversation can give an answer. I would tell you to read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy, all 6 books. The last book is not written by Douglas Adams. He unfortunately passed away. Ian Colfer finished it. It's not my favorite, but it is part of the story. But just read the first 5. And I actually like Mostly Harmless. Mostly Harmless is the 5th one, came out a little bit later, and I actually like it. It's a little weird. It's a little bonkers. Douglas Adams was going to some wonderful spots, different spots. So Long and Thanks for All the Fish was the 4th book, which was very different, very weird, and very sexy times too. So that one sometimes people don't like as much, but I like it. So I don't know. I recommend if you have never done Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, check it out. I'm being told that Wheel of Time is 14 books. 14 books. Also got a live question coming in here from Thomas. Starting to wonder about Star Wars Celebration. He says, are we collectively worrying about Star Wars Celebration yet? Yeah, I am. I am. Not because I don't necessarily think we'll be on full lockdown mode and everything come August. We might, but I think the problem will become, and I think Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con has to face this too, is the liability of it all. I think liability, and that was my focus a couple weeks ago with this situation, and it's not my focus as much, but I still think it's part of what's going on here in the world, particularly the United States, is liability. If you hold an event and someone gets sick, you're liable. If there's a reason to prove that, government officials had recommended you not do it, you could be held liable. I think that's why a lot of weddings are being canceled. I think a lot of the people who are having the weddings or attending the weddings aren't afraid of going. But I think the facilities are like, we just can't have it. What if another guest? What if one of our staff members gets it? Liability, I think, is the ruler of the day, unfortunately. But it's also to err on the side of caution. And going back to some of the stuff I was talking about up top, someone turns to you and says, there might be a danger. It might be a 2% chance of danger. Hell, maybe even 1% chance of danger, but other people could be at risk. You make the call of shutting this down or not. You got to err on the side of the people. And that also is part of the liability aspect of it too. But that's why it's there. That's why my old industry, I was there simply because of liability. So I have a feeling San Diego Comic-Con will be canceled. I have a feeling Star Wars Celebration will be canceled too. Sorry. Yeah. I think even if, that's why WrestleMania, people might give Vince McMahon some crap for waiting a while, or the WWE as a company for waiting a while to not just come out and cancel it right away. I think you have to get all the facts. You have to get all the information. And again, there's a lot of money riding on it, not just for the WWE and the individual performers trying to make a living, some making great livings, but some not making great livings. And they need these WWE, WrestleMania, or pay-per-view paydays. You got to keep that in mind. Safety of your staff and your employees in mind, and the workers, but also the city. WrestleMania brings millions into the cities that it goes into. And if there's a chance that slowing down the COVID-19 virus for a 2-week period means we might get back to normal with some precautions, maybe WrestleMania still goes. And maybe Vince is holding out for that. And I think it was right to wait to the last minute. I think it's, unfortunate. I think it's going to be, WrestleMania 36 will never be forgotten, but it will be in the Performance Center. And it is what it is. And this is the time we're in, and this is all this is we're trying to stay healthy. We're trying to keep the hospitals from overflowing and try to keep services going and try to keep, those at risk going. And I know people battling cancer right now, and I don't want them to have to deal with me getting them sick. And I think at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. But I also think I understand them waiting for a while. So I think Comic-Con's going to wait. I think Star Wars Celebration's going to wait. But even if by mid-May it's cleared up, they might have to pull the plug on these things just to ensure that they pull the plug the right way. That's all I think. Yeah, a lot of Star Wars Celebration. We don't want that. And, a lot of people would be upset. And as far as WrestleMania, Thomas says, I just feel for Edge, man. I do too. Yeah, I feel for every wrestler that wants to be out there in front of 90,000 plus people or whatever these WrestleManias are pulling now. These stadium shows, yeah, it's going to be different. But wrestling, you have to do it when you have to do it. You have to keep these stories going. You couldn't pause the storylines or adjust them for too long. You could a little bit. You could move WrestleMania back 3 weeks, but that's the thing. I think when it came down to it, based on information that the city of Tampa had, that the state of Florida had, the WWE was being provided, let's not forget Linda McMahon has some connections. So I think we have to go. We have to put this up now the way we got to put it up, because there might be some other stuff coming that we don't know about. Sadly. We got this one from Patreon, Luke Denew. Over the last few years, the Napzok Files and ForceCenter, Luke has heard me make many references, or just references in general, from people and guests and co-hosts, and much appreciation for a wide variety of sandwiches. So to reset the question, he has heard on Napzok Files and ForceCenter many references from me and others, and much appreciation from us for a wide variety of sandwiches. What is your favorite kind of sandwich, and have you ever tried a torta, carne asada, bean, salsa, and avocado, and all in one bun? What's not to love? I have tried a torta, and yep, a torta is a big win. Put that quote on a box. Put that quote on a box. A torta is a big win. Ken Napzok. Right? We're going. If you're listening live, toss in your choices. I want to hear them. Pastrami on rye from William Belford. I think my favorite sandwich. I love sandwiches. Oh, hot damn! I love sandwiches. A good French dip, a cross between kind of a sandwich. You're almost getting into burger territory, but I'll still call it a hot sandwich. I like cold sandwiches. I just like a good cold cut combo, man. Give me a ham, give me a turkey, maybe a little roast beef, but I don't like the roast beef to dominate. Fresh shredded lettuce, fresh cut tomatoes, maybe a fresh cut onion, purple onion on there. Mustard, I like mayo. Try to cut mayo a little bit out of my life, but good mustard. If you got some kind of special sauce or an oil and vinegar, toss that on there too. Prefer sourdough, but I'm good with wheat bread. I've tried to move away from big slabs of white bread in my life. I'll go with that. Just simple. We got some great choices coming in here. Great choices coming in the chat room. We've got, I'm going to have to switch over to YouTube for this one so I can see it a little better. We got another pastrami and rye from Real Snacks Attack. We got feta cheese, olives, lettuce, and tomatoes from Jason Humphreys. Old Hand Sauce says ice cream sandwich. Snack says I don't eat bread anymore. And you know what, Snacks? You and I going to be better for it. I'm trying to cut that out too. Italian sandwich for the win, says Django's got a mango. That makes some sense there. Alice's ham with Havarti cheese on sourdough. We're just making each other hungry here. Graham Butler's got a paragraph. Somerset farmhouse cheddar. That's specific, Graham. Marmot, crusty baguette. It's like a party in your mouth, and everyone brought knives. I'll take that. William also has this great answer. Whatever sandwich is currently in front of me. Zach Anderson says plain grilled chicken sandwich. Now, also, that's a good choice. I also like a good tuna sandwich. I like that. John Mariano says afternoon's con in Pittsburgh. We're going to Triangle Subs and buying a super battleship. I'll have to ask Josh McCouga about that one there. That sounds good. Django just got a mango. Django's got a mango and got a mango, says he ate, so he's good. Andrew Hale, turkey sandwich, like that. Tamor says shredded beef sandwich. Ooh, I don't know if I've ever had like a shredded beef sandwich. Lauren Romo says ham and provolone on wheat. And then she backs up, my tuna is fantastic. I want that quote to be on a movie poster as well. Tuna is fantastic. But this movie's not about tuna, but it's fantastic. Abdul, Tamor's brother from House Butter, saying one of my favorites, tuna chicken sandwich. Oh, that's interesting. I'll take that. Sir Thomas Satal's got fried chicken breast, red onion, jack cheese, jalapenos, lettuce, hot sauce, brown bread. You know what? we've been talking over in the Napzok Files Discord server of, if things start getting really worse, we're going to invest in the Napzok Files bunker. And all my supporters and listeners and friends from around the world will find a centralized enough location. We'll all meet there and survive this thing. I don't know how many Patreon tiers are going to be needed to make this possible, but it's an investment from all of you. Thomas has just earned himself the Bunker Sandwich Master title. He's going to be making us the sandwiches. Look, I'm going to bring it up again. Fried chicken breast, red onion, jack cheese, jalapenos, lettuce, hot sauce, brown bread. That was fantastic there. John also says he makes a killer grilled cheese. Ask his kids or ask his daughter. William says, grilled cheese. I'll tell you what. Grilled cheese is absolutely great. Simple. I like a little ham, a little mustard, but also tomatoes in my grilled cheese. I like to keep it simple, but get a little fancy. We also have Snacks. Oh, where did that comment go? Snacks says he'll help build the bunker. 5 years of framing experience. Snacks, that makes you our construction master. That's what's going on. Someone in my Discord server with their prior military medical experience is going to be our director of medical affairs. I think it's Ati, right? Was the name of the Discord server. Django's bringing Lego and firearms. So that we need that. We do need that. I support that decision there. So maybe Django will be our Minister of Defense. Just having some fun with the idea of the end of the world. All right. Okay. I like that. Real Snacks is switching around. Tamor is going to be the boss. He's going to be the project manager. Snacks will be the foreman on all construction properties. I agree with this. I agree with that. And Snacks was also an Army combat medic. We can't forget that. And we like that. Tommy Terry Green wants a bunker job. Tommy, I've seen some of your work on the Wanger short film with your special effects. Was it Tommy, right? And some of the other work you're doing. You are our Minister of Special Effects. Lego gun sounds dangerous, says Old Handsaw there. Andy Ortiz will devise the HVAC system. We'll have AC in this bunker. See, this is what happens when the community comes together. We can all work on things together. Going back to Patreon here, Evan Osborne Lomax says, hey, Ken, first off, I'm so happy that you're okay after your car accident. As a volunteer firefighter for almost a decade now, I've had to cut people out for some bad ones in my time. And tough stuff, Evan, there. And you also have a ton of experience in emergency management as well. And I'm sure I had those bad ones or bad days in the job. It's so important to get help when dealing with those traumatic incidents, and I've, along with most of my department in the past. I wanted to ask you about how you dealt with the bad ones personally when they happened. Some of the stuff that I haven't experienced, I think it's a great conversation, Evan, about first responders and what they go through. My situation is a little different, just a public safety director. I've had a guy die in front of me. I've seen old guy get knocked over, a really wonderful old guy get knocked over by a group of kids in a freak accident, go into coma, died 5 weeks later. And, you wonder what you can do. And I deal with things a little bit different. The old Josh McCouga nickname, Kenny No Bothers, is both true and a problem at times. You got to deal with some things. But I've seen, a friend of mine, police officer, he's had 2 officer-involved shootings in his career that have taken lives, and he's had to deal with those, but he's dealt with those actually okay because of the situations and how it went down. He felt confident and sure and believes in his decisions in those situations. But also, he was a sex crimes detective for 3 years, and he still can't sleep at night for some of the things he's dealt with. I remember an old police officer, retired, but had worked for me and worked with me at the malls. And he was also an LAPD sex crimes detective. And he told me a story I will never repeat. He told me and some other guys a story. And it's something he sees every night. And it happened early in his career. And by this time, he was in his mid-60s. And every night for 30 years, he'd seen something. So I think it's important. I think it's important for first responders to be able to get the help. I think some of the alpha male toughness that is needed for the job, and alpha female, let's not forget that. Some of that is needed for the job. The first responder, I always call it the first responder blood, the adrenaline that's needed, the love of it. And I love it too, even in my job. Running in when people are running out, you either love that or you don't. And I miss that part of the job. I absolutely miss it. And that's all good, but I think it sometimes lends itself to an environment that does not seek out support after that. And my friend who went through some of these incidents, we've talked about how can you get that word out within the fire departments, within the police departments, and it's stereotypical stuff. A lot of these cats are ex-military, men and women coming out, and they've dealt with some tough stuff. And you can talk to those in the chat room who've served. I have not. Those who have served know better than me. Jason Inman has served. He knows better than me, and it is important for those who go through these things, who run in first when others are running out, to have to allow themselves to feel like they're allowed to deal with this stuff after, because I think it is not just schoolyard macho-ness. It goes beyond that. I think there's a feeling that if you go back to the station and say, man, I'm kind of hurting over what just happened. I'm kind of hurting over what I just saw. If you don't feel you can say that, it's going to fester and it's going to hurt. They always say the badge comes with 2 marriages. And almost every one of my friends who's a police officer has been through problems at home. Very few do I know that haven't. So part of that is not being able to deal with that and feel like you can. So I think that's a great question. I think that's a great question there, and something to address further down the line there. And I'm gonna take a swig of water here. Ooh, a lot of water just poured out of that glass. Jason Humphreys, the hump. He was in the chat room earlier. Now it's a little bit later over in the UK. Jason says, excuse me, I'm going to cough. I'm not a zombie. Just been talking. Jason Humphreys says, before we continue, I want to put on the record that I love the Beatles, and I think they're the most influential band of all time. But right, what are my least favorite Beatles songs and why? That's a great question. That's a great question. I don't like Michelle. Michelle, my belle, blah, 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 blah. No, it's an okay song. I never liked it. I am a later Beatle fan, late 60s, like Scott Mance loves the early stuff. I'm Abbey Road, Let It Be era Beatles. Doesn't mean I don't like the whole catalog, but so therefore I won't go to a lot of the early stuff, especially some of the covers. I love the White Album. I love the White Album. Jason Humphreys still is in chat. He says not keen on I Am the Walrus. That's interesting because that's one of those like unpopular opinion on a popular song. I'm with you too there. There's a lot of things. I don't like Sgt. Pepper the album as much as I believe it deserves its place in rock and roll history and influence. And I always cite the example. People don't realize the Beatles were the first to put their lyrics on albums, and that was the album that did it. There's changes down to that, but I like Revolver better. I even like a lot of things on Magical Mystery Tour better, but I love that album. So that's it. William Belford. So I love this song, but William Belford says I can never get into Norwegian Wood. I agree with that. I mean, I understand it, I should say. I love that song, but I understand it. It's also very specific. It's one of the more very character-based songs. I sang it earlier, but Octopus's Garden never really worked. Maxwell Silver Hammer. I like it, but I always would say that you could never release that kind of song now. You know? I don't know. It's tough. I know. Andrew Hale said, I haven't even left the house. Yep, I'm a zombie. I am a zombie. Andrew's saying suspect cough, Napzok, might have to quarantine. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I was at Disneyland and I survived it, but you don't know, right? You don't know, so I'm gonna keep monitoring. But no, I've just been. I did 6 hours of ForceCenter broadcasting the other day, so that kind of hurt the voice. John Mariano says, I dig the more experimental Beatles. Yeah, I do too. I even like Revolution 9. Now, I'm not going to listen to it on repeat. But I like it a lot. Big, big swig of water. Real Snacks Attack says, but did you like the Beatles version or Steve Martin's version of Maxwell's Silver Hammer? I'll take Steve Martin's version from Sgt. Pepper the movie. Lauren Roma, I love this. Lauren Roma says, never got into the Beatles with 2 E's. I'll see myself out. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We got one more question here from Patreon. I'll take some live questions. And as you can tell from my voice, I think that's probably best if I slide on out of here. Tamor says, I think Tamor's still in chat. Maybe Abdul is, and you can nudge Tamor from his nap. Tamor says, hey, Ken, hope you and your household are doing well. We are. I loved hearing your Need for Speed on the Patreon-only show. I have had many experience with the Need for Speed, and I have some close calls with the Highway Patrol. My question to you is, what was your first time giving into that urge? If so, mind your surroundings. If not, what were the other times you've given to the urge or come close or have some close calls with Highway Patrolman? Always much love to Grace, Ratsy, Baxter, and myself. Thank you, Tamor. Love that question. So what he's referring to, for those who are just listening to the show, and Tamor still is here, he says, hey, I wasn't napping. Good. Going back to the Beatles thing, Thomas Streeton. Hey, Thomas. Thomas Streeton says, I got the Beatles thanks to Ferris Bueller. That is really interesting because I think I got into the Beatles very organically, and I wasn't aware that he was, when I watched that movie as a kid, I wasn't connecting, I thought he was really singing, I didn't know Ferris Bueller was lip singing. But then when I realized what it was, I love that song, and I always go back to that moment in Ferris Bueller's. Abdul says, can't confirm. He's downstairs. I'm upstairs. All right. So the question about Need for Speed. I think, Graham, if you're still in chat, you had a question too about Need for Speed. So I did on my Patreon-only show, which is a show I do for everyone on Patreon every month, explain that because of, I had this car accident back on February 21st, which did total the 2004 Camry. But you know what? Life works in mysterious ways. God works in mysterious ways. Iron Man works in mysterious ways. Here's what's happened with the financial strain. What's going on right now with a lot of my career being shut down, podcasting and YouTube kind of, and Twitch kind of it for a bit here. It's interesting because I was obviously did not want to get in a car accident. Obviously did not want to lose my car. Luckily, number one, I was okay. Bruising went away after a week. I walked away from everything just fine. Perspective. Don't panic. Keep your head on a swivel, friends. And yeah, then I lost the car. Then an opportunity emerged where a friend of mine, my brother, basically, my brother from another mother type situation, he and his wife were fortunate enough to get another car gifted to them. And so he had his old 2002 Mustang. So he sold it to me for $1. So I have received some payout for that Camry. Look at the blue book. It's not a lot, but the insurance company paid me out. And I was going to use that money to pay off some debt, be responsible. But now, and I still might, but now with my career, other than podcasting, on hold, can't get any other gigs right now, losing a couple gigs. That money's going to keep me afloat for at least, into April if this quarantine situation, this clampdown keeps going. I'll deal with whatever's after that. But that's one of those situations, one of those parts of the life where I always say, and it doesn't always, tragedies happen, bad things happen. I'm not saying it doesn't. It's not always easy to look for the silver lining. But on that day, as I'm driving away from the auto body shop, or as I'm riding away, Grace is driving me away, and I'm just shell-shocked, upset, angry, near tears, then back to anger, then back to frustration, then back to just exhaustion and some pain. From that moment to now, I got the check yesterday from the insurance company, and it was like, oh, man, this kind of happened for a reason. And I can eat and pay some bills for at least a couple more weeks because of this. And I don't want anyone to think my situation's not that dire. It's just the future's like a lot of people, not just in my business, a lot of people everywhere right now with what's going on. We don't know. So it's just a little lesson. You don't know. And you don't know why it's you and not others. There's death and destruction and tragedy and broken hearts every day. You can't, it's tough, but you can't worry about that. You got to worry what's in front of you. And yeah, I'm hashtag part of Team Smash is what we call it on the Discord server. Those of us who've been in accidents and lost vehicles or just any kind of accident. So yeah, that's the situation I'm in, man. You know, and I want a fancy car, man. I want a good car, but I got a good 2002 Mustang that goes fast. Now, to Tabor's question, I don't want to get too far down the line. He talked about the need for speed because I talked about the need for speed. I'm a cautious driver. I'm not a slow driver. Some people say that. That's bullshit. I know where I'm going. I'm not really rushed. I drive fast. I drive a little aggressive when I can, but I'm a pretty cautious driver. Manage my lanes pretty well. I'm never out of the wrong lane on the freeways, or I know when my left turns are, I know when my right turns are. I don't make lefts at uncontrolled intersections unless I have to. I know my routes. I know those things. Accidents happen, clearly. However, I got into this Mustang, and it's a rattler. It's like an old spaceship. I gotta be like Han Solo a couple times. Keep it together. Hold it together, my friend. But the car still cooks. And I didn't think so. I've been the passenger in that car on a very fast trip to Las Vegas. First time I got in it, man, I'm driving home in it as the driver. I'm driving home. And I was just in the second lane doing my 70, 75 on the freeway, which is okay. I have a cousin in LAPD Valley Traffic Division. He's like, can't speak for Highway Patrol, but generally for us, LAPD, 7 miles or so over, we're going to be okay. I like to keep in that range, crank it up when I need to. And I was like in the second lane, there's some cars in front of me, and I went over like I would do normally. Maybe cook it up to 80 on the freeway, right? 95. Who am I? It's the need for speed. As far as close calls with Highway Patrol, I have been pulled over by Highway Patrol once, but it was actually when I got the Camry, funnier enough, and I had the registration in the front window because I didn't have the license plate yet. And he pulled me over. And I think what he did is he'd got behind me, and I was kind of transitioning lanes or was planning to. So he got behind me, and then I got in the other lane, and he took that as a sign of evading or aggression, right? And he got back behind me. Boop, 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 boop. Lights came on. Damn it, pulls me over. I'm like, I wasn't going fast. I had 10 and 2 even. Normally I don't do that, but I was 10 and 2. He pulls me over on the freeway there, right on the 101 South. I'm heading towards Hollywood to get to work, actually. And he's like, you don't have your registration. And I was confused. I was like, I pointed to the sticker in the window. And he looks at it, and you could tell he was like, damn it. But he didn't want to say. He wanted to keep face. So he just goes, well, you got to unfold it. And he took it out, like unfolded the registration, put it back in the window. You have a nice night. Said, okay, sir. I have friends who are on Highway Patrol. Chippies, as they call them out here in California, CHP. Oh, I keep bumping this mic, sorry. I'm so used to having the beanie on. I've got this hat, and I forgot. Chippies. A lot of LAPD officers and sheriff deputies call chippies AAA with a gun. And, that burns them. Oh, that gets them upset. So that's that. That's my case. That's my need for this speed. Yeah, Rob Mack says, all about the flow of traffic. You're not wrong there. A lot of talk in the chat about cruise control. I hate cruise control. I want to feel it. Tamor, who asked the question on Patreon, says here live in the chat, you don't want to know how many times I've been pulled over. All right. How about this? As we start to close the show, because I do got to go here. My throat is killing me. Tamor, how about we do an over-under in the chat? What is the over-under on Tamor being pulled over by Highway Patrol? I'm going to set the bar at 35. 35 is what I'm saying. I'll take the chat now. You guys just post over, under 35 times. And we'll see how many times. Tamar, you do not have to give the number. You just have to give the answer to the question we're asking. Real Snacks Attack is saying over, but he's changed it to under. He's saying under. Okay. So Jonas is saying under. Williams taking the under. A lot of people taking the under. Zach's going over. Lauren Romo's taking the under. I set the bar high. I'll give you that. I'll set the bar high. But the way he's bragging, I love Tommy Terry Green here saying under, got to be, right? Question mark. Rob Mack saying, got to be under, otherwise how you still driving? Now, that's a fair observation, all right? That's a fair observation, but being pulled over, I'm not necessarily saying that always going to translate to tickets, right? You're right. If it's 36 tickets, you might be in jail. But I'm playing into his hubris here. There's a lot of hubris behind that statement. So, William Belford says, Rob Mack wants me to do with 7 DUIs and still had a driver's license. Wow. Oof. Let's just lock him under the key. All right. So I think we got the answers. I think I set the bar. I might have set the bar too high, I admit. But what is the answer, Tamor? Over under 35 times. Pulled over total. Doesn't mean tickets. Could be a warning. Could be a you again. Tamor. Be safe. Could be. I don't know. Waiting for Tamor's answer here. Oh, he says there it is. He says it's definitely under. Okay. I know. I set the bar high. I set the bar too high. That's my fault. Jago says he fell asleep. No, he did not. All right, my friends. I'm going to get going here on TNF in session. I'm glad you're all listening. Glad you're all here. Glad we opened it up to a lot more Patreon supporters. I appreciate your support, all of you, on patreon.com/Ken Napzok. Means a lot. Means a lot to all of you. It means a lot now. But as I always say, take care of yous and yours, right? Take care of yous and yours. Be safe out there. Don't forget what we're talking about here. And again, in the Discord server, for those who have access to it right now, don't be afraid to jump into the Discord server if you haven't already, but also jump into the social distance network that we're creating there, the social distancing network. It's just a chat to jump in and entertain each other. It doesn't matter too, just the Discord overall is for that, but specifically in there we also have the personal help desk in the Discord server. If you got something going on in your life, you just want to hear some friendly voices, get some advice, or just get a virtual hug, pop in there as well. So Django says Discord after party. Andy Ortiz says thanks, Ken. Hey Andy, we're gonna get some baseball back. I got MLB, the show 2020. I've been doing my franchise mode, but I'm gonna be doing Road to the Show on Twitch as well. Thomas says thanks, Ken. Stay safe. That is our Napzok Files Bunker Master Sandwich. So pay attention to him. Appreciate y'all. Fun time as always, says Lauren Romo. And I appreciate that. Tamor, a final question from him. When is my Lego stream? The next one probably be Friday evening, my time. Maybe Saturday afternoon to get more people on it. But I also got to play some games, too. I'm going to be streaming MLB The Show as well. So that is what's going on this week. We're almost out of here. Appreciate all of you. Head on a swivel. Don't panic. Put some other people in front of yourself. See you next time. Don't forget to follow me at Ken Napzok. Go to kennapzok.com for information on all the things I do, charities I support, as I talked about at the top of the show in the pre-tape segment that you did not hear on this YouTube version. And yeah, I got a book, Why We Love Star Wars, if you want to get it. The audiobooks are available too. But go help someone else these days. We'll see you next time. Bye.